So, has anyone else noticed that the dynamic between the protagonists and antagonists of Epic the Musical and Heaven Official's Blessing are similar? Or is this just me? Do Epic's and Heaven Official's Blessing fandoms even overlap? I guess this video will show. So, you heard me right. White Noface and Poseidon are indeed very similar in how they treat Shillian and Odysseus. Before I go deeper, spoilers for Epic. If you haven't, go listen to it. It's a musical, it ain't that long, and it's very good. I already made a video about the themes of Ruthlessness in Epic, if you want to check it out. And huge, major, plot-changing spoilers for Heaven Official's Blessing. I will not just talk about the Donghua, I will talk about the entire novel. And I will hold nothing back. Proceed with caution. Oi, what are you still doing here? Go read the 2000-page book and then come back here. Trust me, it's really good. This video will spoil everything if you haven't read it. Okay, there is no introduction this time, I'm just going to jump right into it. Both White Noface and Poseidon destroy Shillian's and Odysseus' lives because they believe that the protagonists are falsely righteous. A Greek who reeks of false righteousness, that's what they hate. Odie let the Cyclops live under the pretense that he was showing mercy to it. But in reality, he gloated after blinding the Cyclops, saying how great he was, and that the Cyclops should remember him, and accidentally doxes himself in the process. While Shillian says the line, body in abyss, heart in paradise, unknowingly landing a blow in White Noface's sore spot. I'll discuss the sore spot later. The line pretty much meant that even though you are dragged through the mud and terrible things happen to you, your soul should still remain pure, and you should still do good deeds. Something like that. But why is that line so controversial, especially coming from Shillian? Well, Shillian is a crown prince. Anything he wanted, he would get. Up until this point, he never had to struggle. To quote Thousand Autumns, after all, it is easy to remain righteous atop a mountain peak that touches the heavens, but 1,000 autumns toiling on the blood-soaked earth will break any man. So, the two gods, this is your final spoiler warning for tgcf. Okay, here goes. White Noface's true identity is Junvu, the #1 martial god, the one who basically runs heaven. So, the two gods, Poseidon and Junvu, decide to teach our protagonists a lesson. And let me tell you, Poseidon could learn a thing or two from White Noface on being ruthless. What he did to Odysseus is pretty chill compared to what White Noface did to Shillian. To recap, Poseidon sings the song Ruthlessness mocking Odie and then drowns most of his men, leaving only 43 alive. He tries rubbing it in some more and accidentally gives Odie a chance to escape. Poseidon then blocks Odie's way home with giant waves and giant storms. Then, okay, this wasn't Poseidon's doing, but I'll put it in since it'll be important for a later comparison. After Eurylochus kills Helios's cattle, Zeus makes Odie choose between his own life and the remainder of his crew. He chooses to sacrifice his men. Later, Poseidon appears again right as Odie was meters away from his home, and threatens to drown all of Ithaca if Odie doesn't get in the water. Odie then beats up Poseidon and makes him realize that immortality isn't always a blessing. Not gonna lie, that's pretty tame. White Noface, on the other hand, oh boy. I'll try to be quick and condense this as much as I can. You should already know the plot if you're watching this anyways. So, after the body in abyss, heart in paradise thing, Shillian ascends and becomes an extremely popular and powerful god. But then his country, Shenla, faces a drought. This drought could have been natural, but White Noface might have had a hand in it. It isn't confirmed, but it's a bit too convenient to be natural. Shillian tries to help by making rain, but he is a martial god, not a rainmaster. So it is freakishly hard for him, and the results ain't great. None of the other gods help, just Shillian. Then, because the king handled the whole drought situation poorly, a civil war breaks out. and Shillian disobeys the heavens and descends to hell. White Noface obviously helps the other side. He unleashes the human face disease, which is pure body horror. But White Noface isn't just looking to destroy everything Shillian has. No, he also wants to break Shillian in every way imaginable. He tells Shillian how to unleash the human face disease and taunts him to use it on the rebellion, Young An. But the deal with human face disease is that it only affects those who haven't killed anyone, so innocent civilians. Shillian refuses, even though that would have helped him win the war. He chooses to stick to his morals. And guess what? He loses. Young An takes over Shenla, all of Shillian's believers turn on him, calling him the god of misfortune, and he is banished from the heavens, becoming human again. And that's just the beginning. Shillian, his servants, friends, and parents go into hiding. And White Noface makes sure that Shillian's existence is pure hell. Not gonna go through all of the terrible things that happened to him, just the highlights. Shillian finally cracks and goes against his morals and tries to steal because they don't have money for food. White Noface makes sure that other heavenly officials see this act, and he is ridiculed and shamed for it. Then White Noface begins his psychological warfare. He demonstrates that he can overpower Shillian easily, and threatens to hurt his parents and friend. And then, he does nothing. He only appears in front of Shillian while the others can't see him. Everyone starts thinking that Shillian is going mad. Eventually, Shillian can't take it anymore and seeks out White Noface. That was a mistake. White Noface gathers around 100 people in one of Shillian's old temples, binds Shillian, and unleashes the human face disease on them. And he reveals to them that the only way to cure human face disease is to kill someone. And he explains that since Shillian is immortal, inflicting a mortal wound to him counts as killing. And he even provides a sword. How nice of him! The people are hesitant at first, but that hesitation soon fades. Poseidon cracked after a few stabs, but Shillian had to endure 100 with no way to stop it. This sounds like simple torture, but no, it's worse. Shillian's dream is to save the common people, and White Noface knows that. He says, the common people are in front of you. Save them. Choose between saving yourself or saving the common people. Basically, Shillian is destroyed physically and mentally after this. But that's not the end! It takes Shillian 2 months to piece himself back together, and when he gets back, his friend leaves him, and his parents, feeling that they are a burden to him, also leave him, in a more permanent way. And that is Shillian's breaking point. It took all that to finally break him. After burying his parents, he goes to unleash the human face disease on Young An. Odie had his breaking point in Monster, and Shillian had it here. Ruthlessness fits White Noface and Shillian perfectly. If Shillian had been ruthless, he would have won the war, and everything he loves would still be here. If he had been ruthless from the very beginning, and not interfered with the war, he would still be a powerful and beloved god. This entire verse fits him perfectly. You are the worst kind of good, because you're not even great. Because you fight to save lives, but won't kill and don't get the job done. I mean, you totally could have avoided all this had you just killed the citizens of Young An. But no, you are far too nice. Mercy has a price. Ruthlessness would have been mercy to Shillian. But that's not where the story ends. There is one glaring difference between Odysseus and Shillian. Odysseus still had someone to return to, his wife and son. Shillian had nothing. White Noface took everything he could from Shillian. When Odie turned into a monster, he did it to return home. When Shillian turned into a monster, he did it out of pure revenge. However, the end of their stories also differ vastly. Odie becomes a monster, defeats Poseidon, gets back to his family, and has his happy ending. This is what he says to Athena when she talks about a world with more empathy and helping each other. If that world exists, it's far away from here. It's one I'll have to miss, for it's far beyond my years. You might live forever, so you can make it be, but I've got one endeavor. There's a girl I have to see. Well, unlike Odie, Shillian is immortal and has nothing left to lose. He doesn't know it yet, but throughout all the horrible things that happened to him, there was one boy, later a ghost, who did his best to help him. And before Shillian goes with his plan to wipe out young Anne from the face of the earth, that nameless ghost convinces Shillian to give humans one more chance. And Shillian does. He waits 3 painful days while everyone ignores him. But at the very end, someone shows him kindness. He gets a bamboo hat in the rain. It's a small gesture from an insignificant, nameless farmer, but that's enough. He stops the human face disease. However, he doesn't go back to being the bright-eyed teen that he was. In a way, he becomes ruthless, even if that ruthlessness is sometimes directed at himself. He doesn't hesitate to kill his only remaining family member in order to save countless people. And he doesn't hesitate to kill a king who only showed kindness to him to save more people. And afterwards, he takes the blame for a crime he didn't do, to once again save the common people. He gets buried alive for 100 years for that. However, Shillian doesn't feel hate this time. He has been slapped with reality, but still chooses to be kind and help others. This time, knowing the consequences and understanding that he cannot save everyone, but he still does his best. At the end of the book, he fights White Noface once again. And there is one line from Ruthlessness that I think fits White Noface better than Poseidon. Unlike you, I've got no mercy left to give. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that Poseidon was always like this and never had mercy to give in the first place. But White Noface had. Remember when I said that Body and Abyss, Heart in Paradise hit a sore spot? Well, Junvu did have mercy to give. In the past, he was just like Shillian, a beloved prince who ascended to the heavens. And, just like Shillian, he tried to help when a natural disaster struck his country. But he chose not to invade neighboring countries, just like Shillian chose not to harm civilians. And eventually his kingdom fell, and everyone turned against him. Everything he put Shillian through was to prove that anyone would break and act like him under these circumstances. But Shillian chose to be different. At the end, he defeats Junvu and stops harboring hate against him, giving the very same bamboo hat to him. Both Poseidon and Junvu wanted to teach Odysseus and Shillian to be ruthless. However, the outcomes were vastly different. Just like the beginning, I don't know how to end this, so just thanks for watching. Just wanted to ramble about my chi obsessions. On a side note, has anyone already made a tgcf animatic with Ruthlessness? I just think that would be really cool. Anyways, don't forget to like and subscribe. See you next time. Bye!